JSPEL, JSPEL. Noda? Next topic, JSPEL. Noda? JSPEL stands for JSP expression language. JSPEL stands for JSP expression language. JSPEL stands for JSP expression language. Note JSPEL introduced in JSP 2.0 version to simplify the JSP. JSPEL introduced in JSP 2.0 version to simplify the JSP. JSPEL introduced with the JSTL. JSTL stands for JSP Standard Tag Library. JSTL stands for JSP Standard Tag Library. Say JSPEL stands for JSP expression language. JSP expression language. JSPEL introduced in 2.0 version to simplify the JSP. It is not only this one, it is introduced with this one actually. What is this one is? Standard Tag Library. JSPEL can be used independently and it can also be used with the JSTL. JSPEL can be used independently and it can also be used with JSTL. Already you studied JSP elements. How many categories of elements are there? Categories. 3. What is first category? Scripting elements. Second category? Directives. Third category? Actions. See, scripting elements replaced with these concepts. Scripting elements, you have seen. How many scripting elements? 4. What are those? Scriptlets, declarations, expressions, comments. So, scripting elements only, expressions are there. That expression replaced with expression language and declaration scriptlets replaced with JSTL. So just it is alternative concept to make it more simple. To make it more simple, this concept introduced. So you already studied scriptlets, declarations, expressions. You have seen how it will be. Scriptlets, declarations, expression. Again, always we are writing normal Java code only. That is, I'll show you. Actually, this concept is, it is an alternative to scripting elements like, just note on, JSPEL is an alternative expressions. JSPEL is an alternative to expressions. JSPL is an alternative to expressions. JSTL is an alternative to scriptlets and declarations. JSTL is an alternative to scriptlets and declarations. JSTL is an alternative to scriptlets and declarations. There are 4 scripting elements. Comments is nothing ignored, just ignored by compiler, leave it. Scriptlets, declarations, expression. These 3 replaced with JSPL and JSTL. But what is the benefit? I'll explain. Suppose, for example, in a JSP, one program you have seen database connection. That program name login. Say login. In this program, you observe this program connected with database. Okay. Here with this code, connection established. With this code, communicating with database. Okay. After that, connection closed. But already in Soulets also we written like this only, same code. Here, only class not there, import statements not there, as well as try catch blocks not there. Try catch block also we written for init method, service destroy method. And additionally, we have less than percentile, percentile greater than. You observe almost the same style appears, no? Almost same style appears. Soulets and JSP in this program. Soulet and JSP almost the same style appears. Here, this program 46 lines is there. With these concepts, we can make it just in 10 lines. And that too, it doesn't appears like a Java. It appears like a HTML. Only tags and attributes. Because JSTL, standard tag library. So by using JSP, EL and JSTL, JSP becomes 100% tag based application. That is a benefit. Note on. By using JSP, EL and JSTL, JSP becomes 100% tag based application. By using JSP, EL and JSTL, JSP becomes 100% tag based application. By using JSP, EL and JSTL, JSP becomes 100% tag based application. Every line tag appears. Every line one tag appears. It is 100% tag based application appears. By using this one. Say about JSPL, scripting elements, scriptlets, declarations, expression. Only those 3, if you remove from JSP, then it becomes 100% tag based. First category of elements only appears like a normal Java. Second category onwards, tag based application only is there. See, it is 100% tag based. No? Use bin, set property, get property, these programs. Whenever you started with JSP directives and actions, those programs are tag based appears. But previously scriptlets, declarations, expression, those programs only normal Java style appears. Those all, if you replace with these all, then it becomes 100% tag based application. Okay. See, JSPEL, it is nothing but expression language. Expression language, what purpose introduced? To simplify the JSP. To make it more simple, this concept introduced. But not only this one, it is introduced with JSTL actually. What is JSTL is standard tag library. So almost 40-50 tags prepared. 40-50 tags prepared. That is called one library. That is called standard tag library. Okay. For every tag, backside one Java program will be there. We are writing just one tag here. Say in this program, example, this program here, we are writing useBean is a tag. Backside one Java program will be there. In that setter getter methods will be there for every attribute. We are writing one line here. Backside one Java program running. For every tag, one class will be there. For every attribute, setter getter methods will be there. With that object created. But only ID equal to MB, class equal to class name. If you write how it will create object, backside one Java program will run. And for this class, one object created, that object referred by MB. If you write like this, setter method called. If you write like this, getter method called. So backside some methods program working. Backside Java programs are working. So 3 programs working backside for 3 lines. Programmer point of view easy, but system point of view burden only. Okay. See here, so many tags prepared. That is only tag library. But this one introduced with this one, but you can use independently also with the JSTL also you can use. Both style it works. First I'll teach independently, later I'll mix with JSTL. Now it is alternative to expression. This is an alternative to scriptlets and declaration. If you use expression language, if you use JSTL, then every JSP becomes 100% tag-based application. But expressions, you studied. Expressions, how will write? Less than, percentile, equal to, dash dash, percentile, greater than. Like this will write now. This is expression, but it is expression language, another concept. Next, write it. The pattern that identifies expression language is dollar open brace, close brace. The pattern that identifies expression language is dollar open brace, dash dash, close brace. So in your program, dollar symbol, open brace, close brace is there. That is expression language. If less than, percentile, equal to is there, that is expression. So expression language is very small concept because you studied already scriptlets, declaration, expression. In these 3, which one we used maximum? Scriptlets. Next one, declaration. Next one, expression. Expression part is very less. That expression only replaced with this one. That's what just one class only it will complete. Expression replaced with expression language. Okay. Dollar open brace, close brace. Whatever in the program, if appears this one, you can understand that is expression language. By default, expression language is enabled. How to disable? Somewhere you studied already. Which attribute you have to use? Which directive you have to use? Is EL ignored? Which directive? No. Which directive we have to use? Directive. Directive or directive, both are same. Page directive. In the page directive, is EL ignored? We have to write. That is by default false. True you have to write. Ignored. Note on. By default, expression language is enabled in JSP. To disable expression language, use the following. By default, expression language is enabled in JSP. To disable expression language, use the following. Is it over? So if you write like this, expression language ignored. True. Ignored. Ignored means doesn't work. By default, enabled. To disable, use this. If you don't want, you have to use this. See. In expressions, we written just operators. Very rare situation we used expressions. You have seen counting number of views program, we written count plus plus. And after that, we written multiplication table program. In that 5 into I value expression operators we used. That operator style is changed here. What they changed? Note on operator meaning. Operator meaning plus addition. Minus subtraction. These three operators not changed as it is will be there. These three operators same. There is no changes as it is. Plus, minus, multiplication. Addition, subtraction, multiplication same. There is no change. But division onwards changed. Division, you can write div word also or division operator. Modular division MOD word or symbol. They changed. Division, modular division. Division, you can write directly word div instead of slash. Instead of division operator, we can use div. Modular division MOD. So these are new. These operators already studied. These words, new concept. Next, less than LT. Greater than GT. Less than or equal to. Greater than or equals to. Equals to. Not equals to. Sorry, 1 minute, 1 minute. NE not equals. LT, GT, LE, GE, EQ not equal to NE and logical and. Or logical or not. Logical not. Here, these symbols place, you can write these words. DIV for division, MOD for modular division, LT less than, GT greater than, LE less than or equals to, GE greater than or equals to, EQ equals to, NE not equals to, AND and or not. So these operators are changed. You can write instead of symbols, words. Instead of symbols, you can write words. These words in a program you can write. And expression place expression language. See, if you write like this, it is called expression. If you write like this, it is called expression language. Okay. So this one replaced with this one. And here you can write only symbols. But here you can write symbols also, you can write words also. Expression language supports. Okay. These all expression language concepts. I'll explain program. Is it over? See. Okay, suppose this program only will modify. Okay, I'll write other program otherwise. See. Right click, new JSP. Suppose demo.jsp, next, finish. Here, what I'll do, see, dollar open close. Now, suppose 10 plus 5. Now, it will print 15. This plus symbol, same fixed as it is, not changed. Suppose dollar 10 minus 5. Dollar 10 multiplication 5. These three, no change. Now, dollar 10 by 5, you can write new style DIV. Like this, you can write dollar 10 MOD. You can write new style. Okay. Here DIV, here MOD. You can write dollar 10, suppose less than LT. Say dollar 10 GT 5. Like this. Now, here output 15, here output 5, here 40. Okay, here also 5, right? 550. Here division 10 by 5, you'll get a 2. Here 10 by 5 modular division 0. Here less than 10 less than 5 false, 10 greater than 5 true. Like that printed. Line break. So next line, otherwise all in a one line printed. See. File name demo.jsp, I'll type. See, 15, 5, 50, 2.00 false true. It is by default enabled. By default enabled. If you want to disable, you have to write like this. page is EL ignored equal to true. Then these all will not be executed as it is output printed. See, as it is printed, not evaluated. So by default, enable to disable use that. Write this example. Write this one. So in the place of symbols, we can write words. Now, dollar symbol, open brace, close brace is expression language. Ten less than 5, false. 10 greater than 5, true. These are result printed. Is it completed? Like this operators changed in the expression language. Next, here also some object references introduced. JSPEL, implicit object references. You already studied JSP implicit object references. How many are there? 9. What are those? Out, request, response, config, application, page, page context, session, exception. Okay. Session, exception. 9 object references. Here also 7 references released. One is page context. Second one, page scope. Second one, request scope. Third one, session scope. Fourth one, application scope. Fifth one, param. Sixth one, init param. Seventh one, cookie. JSPEL, implicit object references. JSPEL, implicit object references. JSPEL, implicit object references. JSP expression language implicit object references. Page scope, request scope, session scope, application scope, param, init param, cookie. Here S capital, no space. Here P capital, no space. Page scope, request scope, session scope, application scope, in all the places S is capital. And init param P capital. Init param P capital. These object references, what purpose? I'll explain. First to four, we'll see first. Page scope. It is used to retrieve page scope attributes. Same style. It is used to retrieve request scope attributes. Page scope, request scope, session scope, application scope. It is used to retrieve page scope attributes. It is used to retrieve request scope attributes. It is used to retrieve session scope attributes. It is used to retrieve application scope attributes. What's the difference? I'll explain. It is scope of attributes. While teaching use bin, I given scope equal to page, request, session, application, but I didn't explain. That is also here only you'll understand. Use bin tag. In the use bin tag, scope attribute I given. Scope equal to page, request, session, application. This is almost same. It is nothing but in core Java, you studied access modifiers. How many access modifier? 4. What are those? Public, private, protected, default. What is the scope of private? Within the class. Default within the package. Protected within the package, and even subclass also. Even outside the package of also possible if it is subclass. Public anywhere, no restriction. Okay. Public scope is not restricted. Like that only, your attribute scopes we can set. Page scope, request scope, session scope, application scope. What's the difference? With the diagram, I'll explain. But how to set the scope, I'll explain first. Say, here, Java Jakarta dot Solid dot JSP dot page context. One class is there. Page context. Page context superclass is JSP context. Here, application scope, see request scope, these all we have. Page scope, note on Jakarta dot Saulet dot JSP dot page context class. In this class, fields, nothing but variables. These are variables. These all variables. Fields, we can call it as variables. See, all are public static final integers. So all public static final integers you have to call with class name. Class name is page context. It is just like a solid context type. Page context dot, like that you have to call. Is it completed? Here, how to set the scope also I'll give. Jakarta dot Saulet dot JSP dot JSP context. One more class. Method. So in this super class, in this class, method is there. Set attribute method is there. This one. Write this one. Name. Name of the attribute. Value of the attribute. Here, scope of the attribute. Name of the attribute, value of the attribute, scope of the attribute. Sorry, here integer. Type integer, that is scope. String object integer. String object integer. String is name of the attribute. Object is value of the attribute. Int is scope of the attribute. Is it over? Say set attribute, one name you can pass, one value you can pass. Name string type, value object type. Can I pass object plus employee? How it is valid? How it is valid? Upcast chain. It is the object class, is super class for all classes. Any subclass you can pass. Here integer. Just now I given integers only. These all integers only, no? This scope you have to pass here as a parameter. Now, here JSP context is a superclass. Page context is a subclass. This hierarchy also not done. It is superclass, it is subclass. Now, this method is instance method or class method? Instance method. This method in which class? JSP context class. Any JSP context reference is there? Any JSP context reference is there? No. We don't have JSP context reference. Do we have page context reference? Yes or no? Yes. With that page context reference, can I call this method? Can I call? Yes. Because page context is a subclass of JSP context. Using subclass object reference superclass method, you can access. So, page context object reference already is there. With that page context reference, I'm calling set attribute method. Page context reference is page context only. Only it is P small letter, that is P capital letter. Okay. Using page context reference, you can call JSP context methods because it is superclass, it is subclass. With the page context, I'll call set attribute. And here one name of the attribute, here value of the attribute. Here scope. Scope is integer. These all integers only, no? Can I pass these integers here? Yes. These all static or non-static, see? You have to call with class name. These are which class? JS page context. Page context dot page scope. Like that you can call. First see the program. This is only I'll modify. Now, first of all, set attribute method we have to call. For calling set attribute method, which class object required? Do we have any JSP context object? No. That subclass object, page context. With that, can I call? What you have to write? Page context dot set attribute. How many parameters? 3 parameters. Suppose name of the parameter, name of the attribute, value of the attribute, scope of the attribute. Suppose name. Now, suppose book 1, some name of the book, some book 1, value of the book. Suppose Java 2 complete reference. Something, anything you can write, some variables you have to write. Suppose book 1 is one variable, like this is a value. For this, I'll set the scope. Scope is page scope I want to set. Page scope attribute, that is instance variable or class variable. How to call? Class name. Page context dot page underscore scope. Like this only. Again, page context dot set attribute. Suppose book 2. Here another book. Head first Java. For this, I want to change the scope. Page context dot request underscore scope. Same style. Here book 3, book 4. Here for this one, I want to set session scope. For this one, I want to set application scope. No. These all, in which element we can write declaration or scriptlet or expression? These all, in which element we have to write? Scriptlet. But scriptlet, if you want to replace JSP expression language required or JSTL required? JSTL. JSTL till I didn't explain. That is the reason scriptlet only will write. I written scriptlet. Okay. Now I written scriptlet. Now, if you want to retrieve, and if you want to print, now get attribute method is there. But now no need to call get attribute. We have new concept, these 4. See, actually how to call, just you observe. String yes equal to page context dot get attribute name book 1. You have to call. Here it will return object class object. Explicitly you have to typecast. Like this you have to write. After that, out dot println yes. This is your write. Now page context dot get attribute name book 1. The value object format comes. Object class object converting into string class because downcasting, explicit conversion required, and then assigned, then printed. But instead of this new style, dollar open brace page scope dot book 1 over. You observe these two lines you can write like this. New style. So instead of writing this type, you can write this type. Same style, dollar request scope dot book 2, dollar session scope dot book 3, dollar application scope book 4. Okay. Now you observe next line. If I run this program, see, all printed no. But what is the difference? I would explain. First, write the program. What's the difference? I would explain. I'll explain with the diagrams. Just write the program. Now, page scope attribute, request scope attribute, session scope attribute, application scope attribute, all attributes are retrieved. But what's the difference? I'll explain. So name of the attribute compulsory string only. Value of the attribute, whatever you want, you can write. Name of the attribute, it is string type. It is compulsory string only. But the value of the attribute, object type. Object plus string also you can pass, because string is also subclass of object class. That's what valid. And this is integer only. Int. These are integer variables. Static variables. That's what class name I used. What's the difference? I'll explain. Is it completed writing? See, if you want to retrieve page scope attribute, page scope you have to write. Request scope attribute, request scope you have to write. Like that we are writing, we are getting complete information. But what is the difference between page scope, request scope, session scope, application scope? With a diagram, I'll explain. Suppose it is page 1.jsp. Okay. In this JSP program, I'll write one variable. That variable, page scope variable, I'll write. Page scope. Page scope means the scope is limited to within the page only. From this out of page 1.jsp, you cannot access that variable. That is called page scope attribute. It's just like a private type. Within the class only. Within the JSP only. Suppose here page 2.jsp, another program. From here, I'll write forward. I'll write here one attribute scope I'll set, page scope I'll set. That scope attribute, page scope attribute, can I access here? Can I access? No. Within the page only can access. Okay. Suppose here request scope attribute I'll write. Request scope. Request scope means as long as request is accessible, as long as request is available, that is available. If I write forward, same request comes or new request comes, then that attribute you can access here also if it is request scope attribute. Because same request coming, with that request, that attribute also comes. At the time, request scope you can use. Suppose it is page 3. Here I'll write redirect. Now here one attribute scope I'll set request scope. That request scope attribute can I access here? Yes or no? Suppose example, already 4 attributes are given. Book 1, book 2, book 3, book 4. Suppose book 1. Book 1 can I access in second page? Can I access? No. Because book 1 scope is page scope. Within this JSP only we can access. Okay. Book 2 can I access here? Yes. Book 2 you can access here also. Because same request coming. With that request, that attribute comes. Book 2 can I access here? Can I access? No. Because it is redirect. Redirect, new request comes or same request come? You cannot access. So book 2 you cannot access here. Suppose session. What is session? between login and logout. Suppose year logged in. Suppose year logged out. They're logged in, year logged out. Now, if I said book 3 session scope, no, can I access in second page? Can I access in third page? Yes, because until logout it is possible. Suppose here page 4.jsp. Here again I'll write redirect. Now session scope attribute book 3 can I access in page 4? No, because session is logged out. You cannot access. Okay. Suppose these all in a one war file. These all in a same war file. Now book 4 application scope. It is the entire one application. Can I access here? Yes. Entire application you can access. Now I'll ask questions again. Give me answer. Book 1. Book 1. In how many pages you can access? One page. That is page 1.jsp. Book 2. 2 pages. Page 1, page 2. Because same request coming. Book 3. Page 1, page 2, page 3. Until logout. Session scope. Book 4. All pages. Because entire application. This question only in different angle I'll ask. Different angle. Okay. Think yourself and you answer. Same concept. Question different angle. Okay. In page 1.jsp. In page 1.jsp, how many books we can access? You are getting confusion. How many books? 4 books we can access. Question different angle, that's it. Answer there only. See, if I don't ask any question, this will be happen. So, in page 1.jsp, how many books we can access? 4 books. Page 2, 3 books. What are the books? Book 2, book 3, book 4. Page 3, 2 books. 3 and 4. Page 4. Only book 4. 4th book only can access. Okay. Write this one, description I'll give. Here forward, here redirect, here redirect. In forwarding, same request comes. Redirecting, new request comes. Okay. Logout means session expired. It is the entire application. Book one. Book one, in how many pages we can access? Same question, different angles I am asking. Book one page only. Book two pages. Book three, book four, all pages. In page one, how many books we can access? Four. Page two, page three, page four. Clear no? No. No done. In the above example, no done. In the above example, book one can be accessed in page 1.jsp only because its scope is page scope. Book 2 can be accessed in page 1.jsp and page 2.jsp because its scope is request scope. Book 3 can be accessed in page 1.jsp, comma, page 2.jsp and page 3.jsp because its scope is its scope is session scope. And book 4 can be accessed in all JSP pages because its scope is application scope. In the above example, book 1 can be accessed in page 1.jsp only because its scope is page scope. Book 2 can be accessed in page 1.jsp and page 2.jsp because its scope is request scope. Book 3 can be accessed in page 1, page 2, page 3 because session scope. Book 4 can be accessed in all JSP pages because its scope is application scope. Page scope means within the page only. Request scope means as long as request is available, up to that you can access. Session scope means as long as session is available. Application scope, entire application. That's the difference. It is just like a access modifiers. Private, protected, public, default, that type. Oh, is it over? So here just a book 1, book 2, book 3 like that I given. Whatever you want, you can set. Okay. One first JS page 1.jsp data. If you want to access in another page, set the attribute with scope. With the scope, if you set until that scope, you can access. Okay. Is it clear? Total how many references are there? 7. How many completed? 4. Fifth one. Param. It is used to get the request parameter. From HTML page. It is used to get the request parameter from HTML page. Is it over? So param, it is used to get the request parameter from HTML page. Say, suppose it is login.html. It is login form. Here, username, password, submit button, reset button. Submit button, reset button. Now, suppose this box name, uname, this box name, p-word, I'll write in the program. Here, I'll type username ABC, password XYZ. First of all, what are these two? These are called request parameter names. Okay. What are these two? Request parameter values. Request parameter values. Okay. These two labels. Here, if we click on submit button, another program. It is login.jsp. Okay. How will retrieve this ABC? What will write here? String s equal to request dot get parameter uname. That line in which element will write? Which element? Scriptlet. But scriptlet, if you want to replace, JSTL required. But JSTL I didn't teach. Expression language for printing purpose you'll use. So suppose if you want to retrieve, if you want to print, like this you can write no. Like this you'll write. Then it is printed. It is printed. Now new style. This is new style. Dollar open brace param dot uname. Dollar param dot p-word. New style. But it is actually this is scriptlet required. Scriptlet required for us. But scriptlet, if you want to write, JSTL required. JSTL I didn't explain. That is the reason with expression language I'm explaining param.uname, param.pword. So instead of writing request.getParameter method, you can write like this. New style. Note on this example. Example. So dollar open brace param dot uname param dot pword. Then username password printed. Actually, we should not print. We have to store in variable. We have to check in database. But that is with JSTL. So in expression, you will write request dot get parameter uname. Request dot get parameter pword. Instead of that, just a param dot uname param dot pword. If you write, it is written printed. This is expression language. Total 7 object references are there. How many completed? 5. Is it over? Remaining to tomorrow we'll see. Already explained about NASCAM exam details. The document I'll share in Google Classroom. That PDF file I was shown. If you are getting problem with registration process, the document I'll share in Google Classroom. You can follow the steps. Okay. Okay, we'll see continuation tomorrow. Online students, your notes I'll update. Oracle build path connection was not working. Subhash. Go to lab also.